Hey you guys, this is Jeremy Untitled in the DAW. Welcome back. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the brand new chord tracker inside of the newest version of Studio One. That is going to be Studio One version 4. And with that said, let's just jump straight into it. All right, you guys, welcome back. So like I said earlier, we're going to be taking a really quick look at the new chord tracker inside of Studio One version 4. And we're really going to be primarily showing you the basics of how it works so you have a good idea of how to get started with this. So the first thing I'm going to do is play you a track that I recorded. This is just me playing my classical guitar. So here we go. Really quick, really simple. The only thing that I did was I double tracked this just because I find playing something twice and recording it each time is a lot more natural sounding than having two microphones in a XY or AB pattern. It just makes things sound wider and a little bit cooler. But I also used the new notes feature inside of Studio One to track down the chords that I was going to be playing. I played a B flat major, a F7, a C minor, and a G minor. But let's say I'm not a guitar player, let's say I'm not a keyboard player, and let's say I just don't know music theory. The new chord tracker is a really great way of supplementing for that. So let's say I wanted to find out the chords that I was playing or that was played. I simply right click, go to audio, and right here under chords, we have the detect chords function. If I click that, it's going to tell me the chords that were played. And if I need to, I can fine tune this just by going into the editor and moving this around where it should be. In this case, I pre-edited this, so it's not going to need to be corrected, but this is indeed telling me the correct chords: B flat, F7, C minor, and G minor. I can either drag this up to put it into my chord tracker, or I can right click, go to audio, and put apply chords from chord track. We're going to put it onto the chord track. And now up here, we can see that we have the chords that were being played by the guitar: B flat, F7, C minor, and G minor. If I turn off the chord track, you'll notice that the bass no longer follows it. And if I turn it back on, you'll see that it now changes to fit what was played. And the reason why I did that was because I wanted to show you what it does right off the bat. So if I solo up this bass synthesizer and I play it right now, nothing magical, nothing out of the ordinary, but it does actually fit the key of the song. Let me play it with the acoustic guitars. Those are the correct notes. It is A sharp, which is just B flat, F, C, and G. Those are all the correct notes. The reason why it moved was because if you go right here where it says follow chords, you can choose one of the three algorithms. You have parallel, narrow, and bass. Now, bass is really good for bass, like it says, and it also is really good for monophonic signal sources. So for this, I stuck to bass. But if I turn it off, you can actually see what I'm actually playing. I'm just hitting C3 4 times. But if I put follow chords on and set it to bass, and a really cool thing is that this is following what the chord track is doing. So let's say I turn this into a D flat instead of a F7. Totally playing the wrong thing now, but it's cool because it does do it. Next, let's see what it does on the keyboard. So I have easy keys right here just because it's going to tell me the chords that we're playing. And if I play it, you're going to see that it's just playing a C chord. So I simply do the same thing I did with the bass. I turn on follow chords, and we have two modes that are primarily going to be used for this. We have parallel and narrow. Parallel is going to spread this out in a much wider range of octaves, while narrow is going to keep things in a very tight range of octaves. And I find that narrow works best if you have keys that are not very close to each other, because if they're too close, they're actually going to bunch up and create one single chord instead of creating a very nice wide chord. And let me show you what I mean by that. We're going to have it set to off. Set it to parallel. And now set it to narrow. Now, narrow might sound really good, but in the context of this song, you can really hear how it's not quite getting there. Versus something like parallel, it kind of fits in just a little bit nicer. Now we do have bass, but we're not going to use that because this really works best for monophonic signals because we're not going to hit the right chords. Right? Now, one limitation that Studio One does have is that the chord tracker is not going to add another note. So because this is an F7 and we only have 3 notes here, it's not going to turn this into an F7. It's just going to be an F. And I don't actually find this to be a drawback because I do not want the chord tracker to add or remove what I played. I want it to transpose it and to change what I played into something that's going to fit the song, not something that isn't what I played. Now that sounds like it's the same thing, but it's not. So what I'm going to do, add a note, make the velocity lower so it follows it. And now if I play this, it's not playing a normal C, but it's not playing anything in key. It's playing a C+. I have no clue what C+ is. We're going to turn on follow chords and we're going to go to parallel mode. And you see right there, we hit the F7. So now this is fully in key. And this is actually a good way of showing you how the narrow and parallel modes work together. If I go into narrow mode, it's just a normal F, while parallel turns it into that F7. So with that said, we're pretty much good to go. This is fitting exactly where we want it. And again, if we want to change this, let's say instead of a B flat, turn it into a C, it can do it. I don't recommend doing it because we don't need to do that. But with that said, that's all the basics when it comes to working with MIDI. Now let's talk about working with audio. I'm going to bounce out this MIDI track to turn it into audio. And as you see here, a really cool thing is that it keeps the chord track with it. B flat, F7, C minor, G minor. And if I want to find the key of a song, now that I know that this is hitting the right notes, I can just right click on the MIDI, go to instrument parts and click detect key signature. I'm going to mute the MIDI. And as you see right here on the key, I'm in B flat. That is true because I know for a fact that I'm in B flat. So now that I have that set up, let's say I want to change the notes that this keyboard's playing after it's been recorded or after the MIDI was rendered down and we don't have the original MIDI performance. If I play this, it's playing the proper notes, but let's say I want to change this into a C sharp instead of a B7. It's not going to do anything unless I actually activate the follow chords. So in audio, we actually have 5 different algorithms to choose from. We have parallel, narrow, bass, scale, and universal. Scale and universal work best with audio because it's audio. It doesn't have the same flexibility that MIDI does, but these all work pretty well. Let me show you what parallel does now. Instead of this being a B flat, it's going to be a C sharp. And we'll turn it off. Pretty good, right? It doesn't sound bad at all. Let's try narrow. A little bit different. And then we'll try bass. Bass really emphasizes the fact that it's going to have some artifacts because it's meant for monophonic signals. Let's try scale. It has a lot less artifacts than bass. And it still is changing the key. Let's try universal. It's pretty good. It actually sounds pretty decent. And the fact is that I don't really need to know what I'm doing much. It's just going to transpose it up and down. And let's say I'm just trying to figure out a song and I don't have time to record every single part over and over and over. This is a really quick and easy way to do things. I can easily just cut these up. Let's crossfade them all. And now I can change them all depending on what I want it to be. Instead of this F, we'll make it an F sharp. Instead of this C minor, we'll make it a C sharp. And we'll choose the algorithm accordingly. So we'll make sure this is all going to something like parallel. And then we can try universal. A little bit too aggressive. I think parallel's doing a very, very clean job. And then if we turn it off, so for quick and dirty work, this is actually doing a really, really good job. It works similarly to how tuning it up and down works, only now you have a lot more features. And notice that we also have a tune mode added to the follow chords mode. So we can actually tune it. So let's say we're tuning it to a bass guitar, guitar, piano. Let's try piano. And now let's try the following chords in parallel. You'll notice that the artifacts almost completely went away. So there's lots of functionality in here and there's lots of things you can do. I hope you guys enjoyed, and keep in mind that this is a very, very basics beginner's guide to how this works. So with that said, that's going to be it for this section, and I will see you guys in a few seconds. All right, you guys. So that was a very brief look at the chord tracker inside of Studio One version 4. This is a really cool new addition to Studio One. I personally really like this. And even though this was a very, very basic video on it, this is showing you how you can do this for much more advanced functions. If you can make this work in something as simple as what I showed you, imagine what you could do if you really take your time to create a song. So with that said, stay tuned because we're going to be doing a video later on where we're going to be showing you all of these features that are in Studio One. And we're really going to be focusing on how to use them in a more advanced function. So with that said, this is going to be it for this video. This is Jeremy Taylor in the DAW, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.